would you ask Pop that question? Yes, I would. Yes. Yes, I would.
Welcome to Run It Back Philly. DJ Eastwood doesn't need your motherfucking intro.
All right, let's just play it and then I'll react to it, I guess.
What part of this loss would you attribute to coaching?
So if you can't hear him, he said, what part of this loss would you attribute to coaching? And here's what Doc Rivers said.
I don't know. Would you ask Pop that question? No, you wouldn't. So don't ask me that question. I've earned that.
Bro, I'm trying so hard not to start throwing all kinds of obscenities around on YouTube. This just absolutely makes my blood boil for a specific reason. We fired Brett Brown, and people yesterday, oh, Doc's worse than Brett Brown. Oh, they're both terrible. Knock it off. Doc Rivers is a better basketball coach than Brett Brown. Brett Brown couldn't coach a high school team to a state championship, all right? But this guy, okay, so we fired Brett Brown, and I would say the main reason we fired Brett Brown was his lack of holding players accountable. So we hired Doc Rivers, and we think, oh, we're getting this experienced coach. He's been here, he's been there. He's going to hold these guys accountable finally. He's going to make Ben Simmons shoot the ball. He's going to whatever. Not only has he not done that, this guy has literally, somehow, some way, held players less accountable and himself has displayed less accountability than Brett Brown did. Not only just last season defending Ben Simmons the entire year versus the Philadelphia media and the fans calling us all stupid the whole time, and then we end up being right. We knew the guy was a fraud from the jump. Any NBA player that won't shoot a damn basketball is a fraud. I don't need Doc Rivers to tell me I'm wrong about it, and then we end up being right. And then, what, you want me to take him off the court? What, do you want me to bench him? And I'm not benching Ben Simmons. And the next game he benches him. This guy's a liar, and he lies to himself in front of people. Anyway, now we're here. Ben Simmons refuses to come back. And Doc Rivers won't just get up here and say, this loss is on me. I need to have my guys more prepared. I need to coach better. Me and my staff need to coach better. You've heard coaches say that a million times in the history of sports. Why won't this guy do it? I have never, ever seen a coach display this level of arrogance. Not just the whole time he's been here in Philly. I've never seen a coach display this level of arrogance. It's unbelievable. Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl. The next season, he freaking tanked the Philadelphia Eagles. He would still sit up there in a press conference and say, this loss is on me. This loss is on it's not just the players, it's the coaching. We need to be better. I need to have my players better prepared. Doug Peterson. Andy Reid was a Philadelphia Eagles coach for 14 seasons. Went to 5 NFC championships game, went to a Super Bowl, and he would still sit up there and say, I didn't do a good enough job today. I need to have my players more prepared. This is the first time I've ever seen a coach absolutely refuse to acknowledge his shortcomings ever. He's never done it. I've never heard him say it. And then he takes it to a level to sit up there and look at an NBA reporter who asked a valid question. He's yelled at Keith Pompey before for asking a very valid question. He's yelled at, damn it, one of the GOATs, D. Lynam, for asking a valid question. And now he yells at Austin Krell for asking a valid question. And he actually looks at him and says, would you ask Pop that question? Yes, I would. Yes. Yes, I would. If Greg Popovic's team just blew a 24-point lead in 19 minutes to the undermanned Los Angeles Clippers with an MVP on your squad in Joel Embiid, yes, I would ask Greg Popovich that question. I would ask Phil Jackson that question.
To the motherfucking show.
That was my new super chat drop, if you heard that. Yo, Chiney, thank you. I would ask Phil Jackson that question. I would ask Bill Belichick that question. If his team blew a 24-point lead, you were up by 24 points with 7 minutes left in the third quarter, yes, I would ask Greg Poppovic that question. It's ridiculous. And what's he trying to say, actually, by saying that? By looking at Austin Krell and saying, would you ask Pop that question? What's he actually trying to say? I'm not going to say it here on YouTube, but I know the main topic of Doc Rivers' podcast. I know what his main thought process is or the issues that he's most focused on in his life at this point, and it's not basketball. So I think he was insinuating something that I'm not going to get into on YouTube. But anyway, this guy's on a different level when it comes to arrogance, and he actually sat up there and said, would you ask Pop that question? And then he says, I've earned that. You've earned what? You've earned what exactly? What? Greg Poppovic has 5 NBA championships. His win-loss record blows Doc Rivers out of the water. His playoff record blows Doc Rivers out of the water. He's coached the Olympics. He's coached multiple all-star teams. Are you kidding me? Did Greg Poppovic even give you permission to say that? I've earned this. You got 1 ring, Doc Rivers. One. Because you had 4 Hall of Famers on the squad. Are you kidding me? Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, and Rajon Rondo all in their primes? I could coach that team to a championship. Here's the ball. Go score more points than everyone. LeBron James literally left Cleveland and went and built a super team so he could try to beat that team. It had nothing to do with you. And after you left there and you no longer had 4 superstars, what'd you do then? You have the most blown playoff leads in NBA history. You've blown more 3-1 leads than any coach to ever exist. And you think you've earned the right to not have certain questions asked to you. I'm sorry. Listen, I didn't want to get into Fire Doc Rivers. I didn't want to start that already because I did the whole Fire Brett Brown podcast. I know it was a hit on YouTube, but I don't want this whole show every season to be Fire the Coach. But this is, I think, the line here for me. This is the line here for me. I've said a lot of times I don't care for Doc Rivers. I said a lot of times I don't think he's a great coach, but I thought, you can win with not a superstar. You can win with Doc Rivers if you have the right players on the floor. But this, it's time. It's time for Doc Rivers to get the hell out of here. It's time. And I think Daryl Morey's biggest move this offseason will not be trading Ben Simmons, will not be filling out the roster, will not be getting more competent role players on this roster. The biggest move he will make this offseason is firing this goofball Doc Rivers and promoting Sam Cassell to head coach. This is unreal. This is absolutely unreal. You can't have a coach that's blowing these type of leads and sitting up there with that level of arrogance and telling reporters that he's earned the right to not be asked certain questions. After all last season, defending Ben Simmons and arguing with the media, he got to go. He has to retire. Go retire. Go do your podcast. Collaborate with Danny Green. Whatever. Nobody's going to listen to it because who the hell would wake up one day and say, I got to listen to Doc Rivers' podcast today? Who would wake up and say, I got to listen to Danny Green's podcast today? But, go do it. You'll have maybe 15 followers. I'm tired of it. The thing is, let me get to the one more thing I want to say before I read my man Chiney's super chat over here. The thing is, the way we lost this game, you can say, yeah, we don't have a good enough squad. We're playing without Shake, Seth, and Matisse Thybulle, he's undermanned. What's he supposed to do? If you watched, I just watched the highlights again. If you watch that fourth quarter, the literal, actual reason we lost that game is defensive rotations. It's been the story of this team so far this season. Our defensive rotations are horrendous. Furkan Korkmaz was getting absolutely shredded to pieces. He was Turkish shredded cheese. I don't know if that's a thing. He was getting torched by Luke Kennard. And check it out. Look at this. Yeah, do I need to say anything here? Do I need to say anything? What the is Korkmaz doing in this screenshot? I'm just going to leave this on the screen for a minute. How is Luke Kennard this wide open? How? And the reason it's Doc Rivers' fault is because he didn't make an adjustment. He just left them out there getting cooked for the rest of the game. There's other plays on pick and rolls where Tobias Harris is the weak side defense and is supposed to rotate over and doesn't move at all. It starts with coaching.